Sasha and Margaret。咁佢哋會講美國同埋加拿大唔同嘅升學嘅要注意嘅事項啦。咁首先我哋會介紹下 Jeff。咁 Jeff 佢而家咧就喺美國首都 DC 啦，Georgetown University 讀緊PhD，係JD 同埋 philosophy 嘅。咁之前咧佢係喺中文大學讀書啦，佢嘅 undergrad 就係philosophy 啦。咁佢喺undergrad 嘅時候，佢都有嚟過美國，去過哈佛做過visiting undergrad 嘅。咁有請阿 Jeff。
Hello. I think I'm gonna speak in English, partly to make Sasha not feel excluded, partly because I expect people who are listening should be able to understand what I'm saying. Because I'm introducing the academic path and the legal path of United States studies. So let me just share my screen real quick. Okay, can people see my PowerPoint? Yep. Okay. Well, that's good. So thank you for the introduction by Tim. As he said, I'm a PhD and JD student at Georgetown University. And so I'm simultaneously on two paths, the academic path and the legal path. And specifically, I have bachelor from Hong Kong. I graduated from CUHK, and I have no legal background. So I think if you are interested in the legal path and you have no legal background, or if you have a bachelor's from Hong Kong and are interested in an academic path, my sharing is going to be of a little use to you. So as you can see, this is just a tiny little roadmap that explains what we're gonna share today. And it's basically the same thing. What does the studies look like? What's the tuition like? How do we prepare for it? And at the bottom is an email account that if you have any questions, follow-up, or if I'm speaking incomprehensibly to you, just send an email in English or Chinese, and that I will answer your questions, and others, if they're more suited to answer your questions, will do. So let's start. So I have a bachelor's from Hong Kong, and right after graduating, I directly got into a PhD program in the United States. So I'm doing it in an elementary level. I'm assuming that people who are listening to this might not have a full understanding of what PhD studies typically look like and what the career prospects could be. So I study philosophy. So it's not like I'm studying the popular subjects like science or engineering. But I think some of my experience are going to be useful for all of you who are applying for PhD studies. So typically, I think you should know that PhD studies doesn't entirely consist of classes. In college, you take classes and you fulfill credits and you take exams for each class. And that's not the case for PhD. The primary job or the primary goal of a PhD is to train you into becoming an academic. So you're going to start with some graduate level classes, but ultimately you're going to have to commit several years into writing a 100-page or longer dissertation that is worthy of academic publication. And so what that kind of publication look like will vary across different subjects. So philosophy, it will be a research on a particular topic, a book length research typically. And for science, it may be a dissertation that consists of some lab research or some other longer forms of exploration of the field's problems. Okay, so what do you do after a PhD? You can call yourself a doctor, but you cannot practice medicine, obviously. So the career prospects usually consist of going into the academia and becoming either a lecturer or a full professor. And of course, the difficulties of getting a job in the academia will be a separate subject that is worthy of another entire session. So I won't go into that entirely. So that is one choice if you're interested in being a researcher for your entire life. I'm not, and that's why I'm pursuing a JD/PhD to enrich myself on both sides. But what other career prospects there are typically depends on which field you are in. So for example, if you're in science, mathematics, engineering, typically you'll have the career choice to work in the industry. And so if, say, you're a philosophy PhD like me, you still have choices to go into some nonprofits in the United States, though it's not that directly related to your study. But that depends. So typically, since the academia is harder and harder to get into, people are increasingly getting into industry jobs after graduating from PhD. But of course, if you are not aiming at an academia, you might want to think hard whether PhD is worth spending time on. Because usually in the United States, you'll spend 5 to 7 years getting a PhD. And that is because in the United States, usually PhDs don't require you to have a master's in philosophy before you're getting a philosophy doctorate, right? So if you're studying, say, in Hong Kong or in the UK, you might be studying instead through a path which consists of Masters of Philosophy and Doctors of Philosophy. And so each of those stages will be shorter, probably 2, 3, 4 years. But since PhD in the United States doesn't require an MPhil, the typical length will be combined, so 5 to 7 years. As for tuition, you don't have to worry about that typically if you're studying PhD because it is basically a job. So you'll get paid for teaching or researching for your professors during the 5 to 7 years of your precious life. So you'll get paid typically, or I should say, if you don't get paid, don't apply for that PhD. Be sure to do some research as to the tuition and the financial support provided by the degree. So that is typically not a problem unless you feel like the salary provided by PhD is not enough. In that case, you might not want to pursue a PhD. So let's see whether the academic path would suit you. I think it depends on your temperament and your interest. So if you talk to an academician, anyone in the academia, they will tell you probably that perseverance, curiousness, curiosity, I should say. These are traits that are essential to the academic path. I think that's mostly true because, as I said, you'll spend 5 to 7 years doing your PhD research, and mostly you'll be alone. Of course, you'll have guidance of your mentor, but typically you're alone. So that you'll have to be very patient. You'll have to be very interested in the field. Make sure that you're able to, push through that 5 to 7 years. And of course, the best way to determine whether an academic path suits you is to try doing some research in college. It's depending on your subject, there's always, I think, different opportunities for you to try some research. So if you're a science subject, maybe you can talk to your professors about helping out at the lab. Or if you're a philosophy major like me, you can certainly just write some philosophy research papers by yourself and seek guidance from your professors. So I've spoken too much about the general aspects of academic path, and I should probably say some more about application. So I would say that there are several stuff you need to prepare if you're near the end of your college career. So first of all, you'll need to take some exams. So say you're from Hong Kong, and say your native language is not English, so you'll have to take TOEFL to prove your English fluency. That's what I took. You have to take the GRE, the Graduate Records exam, to prove your general academic proficiency. I don't want to go into details for these two tests. You can send me an email at the email account that I've just mentioned, and I can talk more about that if you're preparing for those exams. But the only advice I want to give here is that you should prepare early. Usually, PhD applications involve a lot of recommendation letters. So you need to talk to your professors early, and you need to make sure that you're finding the right professors to write you the recommendation letters, such that they know you well and they know what to write about your merits in terms of academic research. You'll need to write some personal statements. You'll need to submit something that proves your academic potential. So for example, a sample paper in philosophy. And the last thing I'd mention is that because United States PhDs are funded, and because it doesn't require a master's degree, I would say it's actually quite challenging to apply, especially if you don't have a master's degree. I know I said need a master's degree to get into a PhD program in the United States, but many do study a master's to enrich themselves and polish their CVs before getting into a PhD. And so if you're like me, will apply from a PhD, from a bachelor's degree, then you'll have to face some challenges, especially if you grew up in Hong Kong and you don't have any guidance like people in the United States would. So yeah, apply for more schools and make sure that you don't put all your eggs in the same basket. Diversify your risk, and most importantly, don't have expectation that you have to succeed on the first try. Many people don't succeed on the first try. Many people apply for 10 schools, 20 schools in the first year, and they don't get into any of them, and that's how challenging typically an PhD looks like. So yeah, that's the academic path. I'm gonna very quickly go through the legal path. So JD studies are like college. You take classes, and after you graduate, you can take the bar exam, and then you can become an attorney in the United States. And of course, the career prospects typically are legal profession related jobs, either attorneys or other legal advocacy jobs. So typically JD 3 years. So tuition, of course, you have to pay for a JD because it's different from a PhD. It's not a job, and it's quite expensive. So expect somewhere around 60,000 a year, 60,000 United States dollars, not Hong Kong dollars. And so you can make plans about taking out loans or trying to gather your funds somewhere else. I don't know. So make sure that you have enough funds if you're going into the JD program. But I think if you take out loans, it will typically be worth it. Okay. So whether the legal path suits you, and of course, if you study at JD in the United States, you'll expect to work as a lawyer in the United States. And so that's the first, determination whether you want to leave Hong Kong, probably for good. And also, of course, the legal path consists of some legal professional practice. And so you can talk to people about what the legal practice consists in. Mostly it's an analytic subject. You'll think about rules, judgments, principles, statutes, and it's similar to philosophy, which is why I can do a dual degree in JD and PhD. But we'll talk to people in detail and maybe try exploring the legal studies on the internet. I think there's some internet resources about legal studies that you can try your hand on. And prepare for application. Similar, I think law school has a different admission standardized test called LSAT, but some more schools recently are accepting GRE. So I'm not going to go into details about what those tests differ, but I will say that, again, just prepare early and talk to me if you feel necessary. And typically you need less recommendation than you do for a PhD, because a PhD is, like I said, a job, and you'll do a lot of research, and so the department will need to know you fairly well, and so they require typically 3 or 4 recommendations, but for law school typically just 1 or 2. And I think mostly they value the GPAs and the standardized test, and of course some personal statements describing why you want to go to law school. And some law schools, if they are very socially conscious, they will evaluate from your personal statement whether you are also socially conscious, whether you have ambitions to exercise your legal expertise to bring good for the community. So I think those are things that I want to share today. I'm going to pass my mic back to Tim.
Thank you, Jeff. Any questions for Jeff? Well, actually, I do have one. So, Jeff, when you go through the application process, was interview one of the steps when you apply for a PhD?
No, actually. So I didn't do interview for either of the degrees that I got admitted into. PhD typically don't do interviews, at least for my subject. Some subjects do, but because interview tests some of the interpersonal skills that is not the focus of a PhD, I guess. I shouldn't say it that way. You need interpersonal skills to work with other people. But in a workplace, you'll need that as the primary skill. And in a PhD, they focus more on the academic profiles, experiences, potential for being a researcher. So I think they put more focus into reading your CV and other written materials instead of face-to-face interaction. And I think the same is for JD, at least for my school, they didn't require an interview. They suggest interviews, but you can decline to go to interviews and that doesn't affect your chances. So I didn't go to the
interviews.Thank you, Jeff。OK， 唔該晒 Jeff。咁下一位講者就係 Bosco 啦。Bosco 都係喺美國 Washington DC 而家讀緊書嘅。咁佢喺 George Washington University 而家讀緊 PhD 係 Political Science。咁佢之前咧就喺Oregon 讀高中 high school 啦，跟住transfer 咗去喺 Community College 喺 Seattle 嘅。咁之後又去咗 University of Michigan 就讀三個 major philosophy、politics 同埋 economics 嘅。咁有請 Bosco， 唔該。
大家好，等我 pull up 嗰個 PowerPoint。睇唔睇到我嗰個 PowerPoint？
睇到，你可以撳 present 啊，睇到啦，係。
咁大家好啦。
Bosco 你好細聲啊 ，Bosco 聽唔到。
係啊，而家得唔得啊？
好啲啦，
咁大家好啦，我係 Bosco 啦。咁頭先 Tim 就介紹咗我即係喺美國呢幾年即係由唔同嘅地方搬到去唔同地方同埋喺唔同學校讀嘅經歷啦。咁我就主要會負責係講 community college 嘅，因為本身呢一個 path 咧我覺得相對嚟講係比較容易香港嘅朋友過嚟呢度讀啦，同埋都係比較一個 low cost 嘅方法去即係接觸呢一個美國嘅教育系統。咁最簡單就介紹下到底乜嘢係 community college 啦。咁其實 community college 咧本身係有唔同嘅 degree 選擇啦，但係通常大家就最主要嘅選擇就會係一個 2 years 嘅 associate degree 啦，就好似香港嘅 ASO 咁樣嘅。咁有時而家啲 community college 咧，去 develop 到係已經有呢一個bachelor degree 讀嘅，但係佢哋嘅 bachelor degree 咧又係另一種 bachelor degree， 唔算係一個 conventional 嘅 bachelor degree， 所以有啲複雜。但係最主要大家係只會去讀一個 associate degree 啦。但係如果你只係 for transfer 嘅話咧，你係需要讀夠 credit。即係讀夠大概同 associate degree 一樣咁多 credit 就得㗎啦，但係唔需要跟住佢個 structure， 即係每一個 distribution 要即係讀幾多堂咧，咁就唔使一定要跟嘅。咁邊一個可以去讀 community college 咧？就係所有人啦。就算你未讀完 high school 咧，你都可以有好多 high school 裏面都有一個叫 high school completion program 嘅，咁就係專 for 一啲人。喺普通嘅美國 high school 冇讀完啦，或者你係可能喺香港讀完中五過嚟未畢業嘅，你都可以過去讀 high school completion 嘅，咁就可能耐1-2個 sem 咁樣咯。但係你就可以喺讀緊中學嘅堂嘅時候咧，同時間可以 take 緊大學 level 嘅堂啦。咁 housing 咧就如果你係 high school completion 嘅話咧，佢就會逼你一定要去住 host family 啦。但係亦都有啲 community college 咧係會有 on campus 嘅服務，即係尤其是係可能喺加州啊或者係華盛頓州呢啲比較多國際學生讀嘅 community college 咧，咁佢哋就會起咗啲宿舍出嚟專課佢哋嘅。 如果你係去一啲州份就比較少國際學生嘅，即係可能你去咩 Michigan 啊，去Virginia 讀呢一個 community college 嘅話咧，咁大部分時間都唔會有宿舍，咁你就可能要自己喺出面租屋住啦。申請嘅期限咧，就通常係大概開學之前1個月咧，你都仲可以申請嘅。咁我覺得即係我自己認為啦，如果你係考完 DSE 成績可能唔係好理想嘅話咧，咁你都可以隨時去申請 community college 啦，咁你就可以無需等待，即係唔需要等1年重新再 apply 過大學，咁樣就可以過到嚟美國呢一邊啦。咁我覺得係一個好好嘅 backup plan， 同埋因為 community college 咧，佢嗰個 workload 咧係比較細嘅，同埋佢唔會有太多嘅 pressure 啦，因為大家同學嘅相對地個 competitiveness 咧係會低少少嘅，即係唔會好似大學咁樣有啲 cutthroat，即係可能大家冇咁collaborate。咁 community college 咧，大家都係 helpful 啲，同埋啲老師咧都會知道點樣去幫助一啲有需要嘅學生咯。咁我之後會分析一啲好處啦，同埋唔好處嘅地方，因為我覺得通常咧啲人講 community college 咧都係會講好處，咁就忽略咗呢個 disadvantage 嘅。咁我覺得我都需要去講下嘅。咁我自己讀嗰間 GRC 為例啦。就係 Green River College，咁就喺西雅圖南邊嘅一個 suburb 啦。咁佢其實學費咧就好平嘅，就學費$4000一個 quarter，即係$12000一年啫。咁其實咧就唔算特別太貴啦，因為相對起其他大學嚟講，就可能係1/3甚至係1/4嘅一個 tuition 嘅。即係我喺呢度都 list 咗其他學校嘅價錢俾大家參考啦，咁同埋community college 嘅雜費就比較低啦，所以我覺得呢一個係即係假如你係香港嚟美國讀書，但係你可能又冇咁多資金嘅話，咁我覺得呢一個係一個比較平嘅一個選擇。咁特別多 international student 讀嘅community college 啦，或者係一啲比較已經 develop 咗嘅 community college 咧，佢就會有好多 transfer 嘅agreement 嘅，同一啲嗰個州嘅大學，即係尤其係加州咁樣啦，佢有一個叫做 transfer admission guarantee 嘅 program 啦，咁佢就會基本上 list 咗你讀咩科，你就應該大概要有咩堂需要，咁你有時候佢會俾個 GPA 你去參照一下，即係好似 UCLA 咁樣啦，佢個網址裏面咧係會有一個 transfer 嘅一個 average GPA record，咁你就可以根據住過往啲人入到個科嘅 GPA 去判斷下自己到底有冇機會去轉到入去啦。咁喺華盛頓州啊，我自己嗰度，咁佢都有啲transfer agreement 同一啲本地嘅大學，即係好似 Seattle U 啊。UW 啊咁樣，即係你達到某一個分數咧，基本上你就應該入到㗎啦，除非你係一啲好competitive 嘅科目。咁我呢度咧就係做一個類似宣傳啦，咁就純粹展示一下到底讀完 community college 可以 transfer 去邊度。因為有好多人都會覺得 community college 嘅學生可能有啲都好渣啊，但係亦都有啲咧其實都幾勁嘅。即係我有個同學係入咗 Berkeley 嘅High School of Business，which is 好似係咁多年裏面 transfer 都好似冇一個人成功入到，就係我個朋友就係第一個啦。跟住基本上大部分主要嘅public school 都係 transferable 嘅，但係如果你係 private school 嘅話就比較難啦。如果你係 private school 嘅話，轉校咧就需要重新考個 SAT， 但係如果你係普通 transfer public school 咧就唔需要。咁樣transfer public school 嘅難度係會低好多啦。即係雖然 community college 咧就未必可以俾到你去即係 Ivy 啊、Stanford 啊嗰啲咁高級嘅大學，但係如果你係一個即係 Berkeley 啊、UCLA 啊、Michigan 呢個 level， 其實我覺得都好足夠啦。咁另外，我覺得一個好處咧就係呢一個 small 嘅 class size 啦，因為大部分 community college 嘅堂咧都係20-30個人度啦，咁就唔會好似我自己喺 Michigan 咁 take 一堂 Intro to Statistics 就會可能幾百個人一個 classroom，咁樣 faculty 對你嗰個嘅關注度咧就會高好多啦，同埋即係 community college 啦，佢哋有本身係比較多 regular 嘅 faculty member 啦，咁就唔會好似喺我哋大學裏面咧，成日都係啲 PhD 學生教書啊，或者係請一啲 adjunct 翻嚟啦，因為比較平。同埋因為佢哋咁多年咧都有咁多嘅國際學生，所以佢哋 faculty 對於呢個國際學生嘅需要咧都比較清楚，即係可能有時語言問題啊，或者佢會知道你係之後要 transfer 咧，佢會知道點樣去 guide 你去做呢件事。係啦，咁我其中覺得最大嘅優勢就係容易入啦。咁呢度就有一個chart， 其實就喺 Green River 嗰度借過嚟嘅。咁佢就 show 咗呢一個最低 level 咧，咁你就可能係需要讀一啲英文班之後先至可以上到嘅，之後先可以上 high school completion 或者係大學 level 嘅堂咧，但係都比較少。即係通常啲人如果真係唔得嘅話，讀1-2個 sem 咧就可以上，即係1-2個 quarter 就可以上到去讀正常 level。咁你上到 high school completion 啦，就可以一路讀 high school 嘅堂，一路就可以讀大學嘅堂，咁就可以慳翻啲時間。咁另外重點就係美國嘅大學其實頭2年都係未需要揀 major 嘅，咁你可以頭2年嘅時間喺 CC 度試下唔同嘅科目。咁講完唔好嘅地方就要講下，唔係講完好嘅地方就要講下啲唔好嘅地方啦。咁讀 CC 咧，唔好嘅地方就係佢只會得一啲好 general 好intro level 嘅堂，即係可能 intro to statistics calculus 1, 2, 3咁樣。咁佢就唔會俾到機會你去睇一啲好高級嘅堂。咁其實呢個就係壞處啦，因為如果你係比較聰明嘅學生啦，或者想挑戰下自己嘅學生，咁你去到 community college 就唔可以 take 一啲好 high level 去 challenge 你自己，或者係因為 high level 嘅堂咧又比較細，咁你就冇一個，你就會難啲去喺呢個 professor 面前去展現自己個聰明啦，因為你 intro level 好難去 demonstrate 到你好呢個 competitive 啊，好 competence 去做 research。同埋 community college 咧就啲堂咧主要都係最 general 啦，就會少一啲好似 George Washington 有一堂係唔知讀咩Star Wars 啊 Star Wars， 但係 under political science 嘅堂，跟住可能有啲咩大學會有Harry Potter 讀啊，咁呢啲全部都唔會係 community college 有嘅。係啦，同埋啲堂就好鬼易啦，所以咧就個 grade 咧係好容易會攞得好高，同埋好容易 transfer 到嘅。但係同時間你可能入校之後咧，接駁上咧可能就會有啲難度啦。另外因為 architecture 啊、arts 啊、music 啊、business 呢啲堂咧 community college 通常都唔會有咁多，所以你轉咗校之後咧，可能就要重讀一啲學分，或者係因為你唔夠學分嘅關係，就可能要遲啲先畢到業啦。我有個朋友由 community college 轉咗去紐約嗰度讀 art 之後咧，佢好似係正常應該係讀2年就畢到業啦，因為佢唔夠學分嘅關係咧，所以佢要讀3年先畢到業。係啦 ，transfer 嘅時候咧，因為每一間大學或者每一個州嘅大學咧個 system 都唔同，所以你喺華盛頓 transfer 去可能 Michigan 啦 ，Michigan 就唔會 recognize 你嗰個喺華盛頓嘅 credit， 咁你就又係要重新再讀過啦。咁重新再讀過就要多啲時間先畢業啦，亦都係多啲錢。咁其實佢就 undermine 咗你本身可能讀 community college 係因為平嘅呢個 purpose。咁我自己一個 PhD 學生咧，咁我特別係覺得 community college 係呢一個 lack of research opportunity 係一個缺點嚟嘅，因為喺 community college 啦，大部分嘅 professor 都唔會係再 active in research，咁佢哋就唔會有嗰個 network 去 幫到你去喺 research 呢方面發展。同埋喺 Michigan 有好多 undergraduate 嘅 research opportunity 啦，可能summer嘅時候幫 professor 做研究啊，就算係平時嘅 semester 裏面都可以 part time 去幫 professor 做研究，咁你就可以 build up 到你嗰個 experience 啦，就可以寫落 CV。但係如果你係喺 community college 咧就唔得啦。另外如果你成日去要睇一啲 academic 嘅 journal 嘅話咧 ，community college 咧可能有時候佢會因為佢資金冇咁多，就未必買到嗰個 journal 翻嚟睇，咁你就會比較麻煩少少。喺 community college 咧，其實多國際學生同少國際學生呢個分別都幾大嘅，我覺得。因為例如華盛頓州同埋加州啦，可能去一個 community college 其實可能有差唔多成一半嘅人咧，其實都係國際學生嚟嘅，可以去到。咁樣佢哋就會因為係國際學生交嘅 tuition 比較高咧，佢哋就會有多啲嘅 resources 去支援翻國際學生，同埋去 support 翻成個 campus 嘅 campus life development。咁例如我哋喺 Greenford 嘅時候咧，就係特定有international student 嘅 advisor， 專係 for international student 嘅，因為佢除咗要幫你搞 visa 之外，佢會幫你搞 transfer 呢啲嘢。因為本土學生咧就冇咁即係佢哋冇咁 common 話一定要 transfer 咁樣，冇呢個咁career minded 嘅。咁國際學生就知道一定係會 transfer， 所以佢哋個學校就會 provide 呢一啲嘅 resources 俾你。同埋國際學生多咧，佢就會有錢俾你搞多啲 campus life 啦。因為正常嘅 community college 其實係冇乜咩 club 啊，冇乜特別嘅 event。但係我讀嘅時候咧，佢係有一條 team 啦，專係開呢個活動俾國際學生嘅。係啦，咁 transfer agreement 都大致有講過啦，就會係因為多國際學生，所以佢哋嘅 community college 就會更加 active 咁樣同本地嘅大學去搞一啲聯繫，就從而令到你 transfer 得更加容易嘅。咁據我所知咧 ，Michigan 咧嘅 community college 就係冇同University of Michigan 係有任何嘅呢一個 transfer agreement 啦，但係即係 Washington 啊同埋 California 就會有啦。咁我最後嘅 advice 咧就係呢一個location 方面，就即係你要諗清楚你未來想轉去嘅大學去邊度讀啦，從而去揀你喺邊度讀社區學院。因為本地嘅 connection 咧係好重要嘅喺 transfer 方面。如果你想由西岸轉去東岸咧，係會難過你喺西岸轉去西岸。尤其係如果你想入 UC 嘅話咧，最好其實係留翻喺加州嗰度讀community college， 因為佢哋收嘅 transfer 嘅 GPA 咧係會相對地低啲。咁仲有就係 prepare early 啦，你要大概知道你應該嘅 curriculum 啊個 structure 裏面係咩科應該要 take 咩堂咁樣，你要自己規劃好啲。如果唔係，你就會 delay 你個 graduation， 咁就好煩。仲有呢個 letter of recommendation 就係要同啲 professor 打好關係啦，因為你 transfer 嘅時候就需要去揾 professor 幫你寫信嘅。咁如果你成日上堂咧就完全唔講嘢，咩都唔做，咁你留低咗一個 bad impression 嘅話咧，咁人哋就好難幫你寫一封好嘅信去幫你去 transfer 啦。咁我最後就覺得呢個 research oriented， 即係如果你知道已經一定係會去做 research， 一定係會申請 PhD， 或者係你要去讀 music school 啊，去做 art school 啊嘅話咧，我就覺得你可能會去嘗試 apply 一啲 4 year 嘅大學會比較好啲。如果係 cost 係一個問題嘅話咧，就其實都有啲好平嘅 public school 可以試下先嘅。咁你可能喺嗰度讀完，你先係 transfer 嘅話咧，就會可能好啲啦。咁我就係咁多啦，交翻俾 Tim。
唔該晒 Bosco。少少問題 Bosco。如果俾你揀過，如果你諗住係去讀University of Michigan， 你會唔會即係唔讀 Greenwich 喺Michigan 嗰度讀 你 community college，但係你之前係有其他諗法，諗住係去讀其他大學，所以留翻喺Seattle 讀 community college。
因為我自己揀緊 Green River 嘅時候咧，係因為國際學生會比較多少少，因為如果 Michigan 嘅話咧，未必可以咁容易揾到其他嘅國際學生，就可能全部都會係本土嘅人啦。但係本土讀 community college 咧，佢哋就會返完學就會走佬噶啦，即係佢哋係純粹當呢一個係上堂嘅地方，就唔會係一個好似4年大學咁樣係一個 community 嘅感覺。同埋 transfer 方面，我覺得 Green River 會做得比較好啦，因為佢哋始終以前已經有 record 嘅話咧，咁我就go with 呢個 traditional 嘅 flow，rather than 去可能做一個係得一個 community college， 唔係得一個國際學生嘅 community college 咯。
OK， 唔該晒 Bosco。我自己都有少少經驗分享。我自己即係都10幾年前啦，都係讀 community college 轉去大學嘅，但係而家都有睇翻，啱啱因為之前都有做過少少 research 做community college 咁有嗰啲個 guarantee agreement 咧即係每一間大學佢哋嗰個 agreement 都有時都好唔同嘅，就算 in-state 即係我哋Northern Virginia Community College。如果要 transfer 去University of Virginia， 都有啲 program 都即使你即係有 certain GPA， 你都要考 SAT 嘅。佢冇話要咩 score， 但係你嘅 requirement 都係要考 SAT 啦。可能即係如果有啲比較銜接好啲 program， 好似Bosco 你頭先講嘅，即係加州咁樣咁如果留翻喺加州讀 CC， 跟住直升翻 UC 嘅大學就可能唔使咁，所以即係如果同學要有心儀嘅4年大學，諗住嘅4年大學，咁你都要睇翻你自己嗰個agreement 啦，睇你即係揀 CC 嘅時候，你 agreement 係點樣，咁就即係有一個好啲嘅 planning， 咁就要同個 advisor 商量下，咁就你個 planning 就會好啲，咁樣唔使蝕咁多 credit。OK， 有冇其他問題 ？Bosco 問 Bosco。咁下一位就係 Sasha。Next up, Sasha. So little introduction for Sasha. He's currently a head of corporate strategy at Empower Financing Company, a Canadian company. He holds a master's degree from Harvard, and he has an undergrad from University of Waterloo and Wilfrid Lower University. And he also had a brief experience study abroad at the University of Hong Kong. So, Sasha, yep.
Thank you so much. Are you all able to hear me clearly?
Yes, sir.
My screen? Okay, great. So thank you so much for the kind introduction. I'm going to be talking for a couple minutes on studying in Canada. The brief overview is why you should want to study in Canada as opposed to maybe some other countries, how you can go about doing so, what the steps are, what tools and resources are available. And finally, we'll be talking a little bit about immigration, specifically from a student and graduate's context. So very quickly, why study in Canada? Canada today hosts over 500,000 international students from all around the world, and you can see that the number is rising very, very quickly. Several photos here of international students and such having a great time. The bottom left photo is actually Prime Minister Justin Trudeau with the mayor of my hometown celebrating Chinese New Year a couple of years ago. So why is Canada so attractive to international students? Firstly, there are a lot of very high quality schools, a lot of the names you've probably heard of around the world, like the University of Toronto, my own alma mater, the University of Waterloo, and the University of British Columbia. Compared to a lot of other countries, the visa process is actually very easy and straightforward. For example, you do not need to visit an embassy necessarily. You can get 3 years or more of work authorization after graduation, and there's a pretty easy path to permanent residency and citizenship for those of you who are looking for that. And finally, we Canadians generally have a reputation for compassion and tolerance, which is obviously very nice to have. So there's a very quick overview of why you might want to. So now let's talk about how you might go about doing so. So a couple of questions to ask yourself, first of all, and I think everybody should ask themselves these questions are, Where in the country do you want to study? Because Canada gets cold, at least some parts of it do. So if that's a concern, location might be important to you. I also want to make sure that you're only looking at what are called designated learning institutions. That is a government classification. And it's important to make sure that you're going to a DLI, because you can only get a visa to study in Canada if you're going to a DLI. And DLIs have several other advantages afterwards as well. But fundamentally, you want to make sure that any big name school that you've probably heard of is almost definitely a designated learning institution. I'm also going to be talking really quickly about how you might be able to pay for your education and how visas and immigration could work as well. So in terms of where students study, essentially there are great schools all over Canada, but most international students study in one of these three provinces: British Columbia, or BC, which has a city of Vancouver, which is very much like a little Hong Kong in many ways. There's the largest province, which is Ontario, which hosts the largest city, Toronto, which is my hometown, and the capital city of Ottawa. And there is the famously French-speaking province of Quebec, which has the city of Montreal. Now, of course, there are great schools around the country, and I don't want to suggest don't study in a different part of the country, definitely not. But in practice, this is where all the big name schools that you've heard of tend to be, and this is where the vast majority of foreign students tend to go to in Canada. One thing to keep in mind is that if you're in the province of Quebec, or indeed several other provinces too, schools might teach in the French language. Not every discipline, not every school, but it's something to keep in mind that if you are in Quebec or maybe some of the other eastern provinces, there might be schools where French is the primary language of instruction. So that's just something to be a little bit aware of. I want to talk about the difference between a university and a college, because it's kind of similar, but different as well to what Bosco mentioned when he was talking in the US. Fundamentally, you go to a university if you want to get an academic or a professional program, if you want to get a degree, whether it's undergraduate, a master's program, or anything else. A college is kind of like a community college in the US in that they traditionally provide sort of 2-year technical training and diploma programs, but several of them do offer 4-year undergraduate degrees as well. So you can go to a college if you want to, for example, transfer to your university later, or a lot of international students actually prefer colleges if they already have, let's say you already have a bachelor's degree in Hong Kong, you just want to move to Canada, get a little bit of Canadian experience with a short 2-year diploma. A lot of foreign students do that through Canada's large college system. And I'll talk a little bit more about like pricing and such later, but it's a big value of colleges is that they can be used as a stackable credential for those of you who already have a degree outside of Canada. In terms of immigration, universities and colleges are looked at exactly the same. There's really not an important difference in terms of visas or what happens after graduation. From that perspective, you can think of them as kind of the same. So why might you like one over the other? Fundamentally, if you want to earn a degree, the way you're used to thinking of a degree, a university is where you want to go. But if you'd rather have a certificate or a diploma program, then a college is probably a better option, although some universities will do that as well. And again, the reason you prefer a college over a university might be you want to move to Canada quickly, you want to save a little bit of money because they're cheaper, you might already have a degree from another country or not, you don't have to. And number 4, you want to learn more of a skill or a trade rather than an academic field. A little bit on pricing. This is Sheridan College in Ontario. All the numbers here are in Canadian dollars. By the way, when I made this slide, $1 Canadian is equal to about 5.9 Hong Kong dollars. So you can see for international students at Sheridan College, tuition will be approximately 20,000 Canadian dollars a year. Whereas if you look at the University of Toronto, this is University of Toronto for undergraduate programs, international tuition is about 50,000 Canadian dollars a year. Of course, varies a little bit based on what program you're studying in. And if you want a graduate program, this is again the University of Toronto. Costs are all over the place, from as low as 30,000 for a master's in public health to about 87,000 if you're studying DDS, which is a dental school. So these are, of course, like every school will be a little bit different. The prices will change year over year, But these are roughly the numbers you want to keep in mind. And also this should hopefully give an indication of the fact that colleges can often be less than half price of a university. When you're calculating the true cost of education, just make sure you're taking into account not only tuition, but also housing and living expenses. Living in Toronto and Vancouver are not cheap, so that's something you want to make sure that you're prepared for when you look at cost of housing. You might find a roommate to help share costs. And there are ways to earn money while you are studying as well. One of the things that makes Canada very appealing is that it's very, very easy to work part-time while you're studying. In the US, for example, if you're studying in the US, you're allowed to work only on your university campus. That's the rules of your visa. But in Canada, you can work anywhere. It does not have to be at your university. And you can work for up to 20 hours a week if you are enrolled full-time. So that could be a way to earn some money while you're studying. There's also, Canada has a very large and expensive co-op program. Basically, every Canadian university will have something similar. And what co-op means is that the school will help to place you in the workplace, which is relevant to what you're studying. So you can maybe have like a work term in between different study terms. And the advantage of that is obviously you're making a little bit of money, but you're also getting relevant work experience while you study. So when you graduate, your undergraduate degree might take a little bit longer, like it might take 5 years instead of the standard 4 years. But by the time you graduate, you might already have 2 years of relevant work experience, so you're able to hit the ground running when you start working. And of course, you can earn money through personal savings, family support, scholarships, and loans. One option for loans is actually my employer, so full disclosure, Empower Financing. We provide loans and scholarships to international students worth up to $50,000 US. That's about 66,000 Canadian dollars, or about 390,000 Hong Kong dollars. Loads of benefits for foreign students, and we work with thousands of students from around the world, including Hong Kong. So whether you want to study in the US or Canada, this could be an option to help you to pay for your studies. And of course, we're rated the #1 international student loan provider by NerdWallet and several other providers and several other reviewers as well. So I want to talk quickly about Canadian immigration, but the disclaimer is that I'm not a Canadian immigration consultant. If you do want to get more information after this talk, you can go to this website, which I really like, movingtocanada.com. If you want to book a paid consultation, maybe you have some like more specific questions, you want to talk to an expert in the field, this is a good resource to help you to essentially book a paid consultation. So I'm going to be talking about a couple of different visa options, obviously for both students and graduates. But I should mention too that there's a future professional network talk in which I will be talking about a sponsored work permit and permanent residency. Today, I'm going to be talking only about study permits for students, and after you graduate, what's called the postgraduate work permit. So an important thing to keep in mind is that for study permits, there are 2 different kinds of study permits. I'm going to talk about them both. The first is SDS, and it stands for Study Direct Stream. And I want to only cover this very quickly because most of you will not be eligible for the SDS. The reason being is that if you look on the left side under residence, you have to live in one of 7 countries, and that does not include Hong Kong. It does, by the way, include China, India, Vietnam, the Philippines, and a couple of others. So if you are a Hong Konger who is living in China or Vietnam or Philippines, then you are eligible. Then SDS is something you can do. But if you are, for example, a Hong Konger living in Hong Kong, unfortunately, you are not eligible for SDS, but that's fine. You're eligible for the regular visa stream. The reason that some students would prefer an SDS is that it tends to be faster. It's a lot faster than the regular stream, but it's more expensive because you must pay your tuition for your school very early, and you have to purchase essentially an investment certificate of 10,000 Canadian dollars. You get this money back, but the point of the SDS, the whole point of SDS is that you are a highly qualified student, you already have a lot of money, therefore we'll expedite you through the stream and get you into Canada as soon as possible. So even though a lot of you are not eligible for this stream, no worries. The regular stream, it's anyone is applicable for this one. For essentially, their basic requirements are you need a letter of acceptance from a designated learning institution. Again, a DLI is a government classification, and any Canadian school that you've heard of or that's big enough to have international students will be a DLI. You can live anywhere in the world. There are no restrictions on your passport or where in the world you live in, and there are no minimum test scores. That being said, it tends to help if you have at least an English language test. Visa officers tend to view that favorably, even though there aren't really official minimums. But for all intents and purposes, as long as your school admits you, you'll generally be able to clear these hurdles. For the financial requirements, you have to prove that you have enough funds to cover at least your first year of tuition, your living expenses, and a flight ticket back home to Hong Kong or wherever you live. And you can show this through bank accounts in your name, scholarships, loans, buying a GIC, or other means. A GIC, again, it's a Canadian thing. It stands for Guaranteed Investment Certificate. It's basically like a money market account. It's kind of like you're buying an investment, but it's still your money. You get the money back. The purpose of a GIC is just to show, yes, you have money in Canadian dollars, which you can theoretically put towards your education. One more thing to keep in mind about applying for study permits is that if your school is in the province of Quebec, you need a CAQ, that is a specific Quebec immigration document, because Quebec is always special as far as Canadian things go. I don't think a lot of you will be studying in Quebec, so I didn't put anything special about that. But the requirements for a CAQ, the financial requirements are usually a little bit higher, and they'll want you to demonstrate some sort of, they'll generally want you to demonstrate some sort of proficiency in the French language, which is why, again, presumably not a lot of you are going to be interested in studying in Quebec, but if you are, that's just something to look into. So what happens after you graduate? So the PGWP is one of the reasons why foreign students like to study in Canada as opposed to essentially any other country. And a PGWP, again, stands for Postgraduate Work Permit. It essentially allows foreign students to live and work in Canada for up to 3 years. It is not tied to any employer, which means that you can go between different employers. You can go from company A to company B, and no additional paperwork is going to be required as long as your total time can be up to 3 years. Now, you're eligible if you complete your education at, again, a designated learning institution. That's why DLIs are important. But make sure as well that even if you're at a DLI, that the specific degree, diploma, or certificate is eligible for a PGWP. And your school will tell you that. That's generally well disclosed by government and all the schools that you might consider going to. One of the requirements, though, is that your program must have been for at least 8 months in length, and you must have been enrolled full-time in Canada during the program and have received a study permit. By the way, a lot of these rules have been a little bit flexed because of the COVID requirements. For example, if you are currently studying online because you can't come to Canada because of COVID, that's okay. The full-time in Canada rule has been waived a little bit, specifically because of COVID. So these are the general rules, but Canada has very friendly immigration policies. So they understand the needs of foreign students, and they adjust their policies to try and serve foreign students so that they are treated well, not only while studying, but after graduation as well. So I talked about the length of a program can be up to 3 years. That really depends, though, on how long your program was for. For example, if the length of your studies was less than 8 months, you're not eligible for a PGWP. If the length of your program was between 8 months and 24 months, 2 years in length, then your PGWP, the length of your PGWP is equal to the length of your program. That means, for example, if you study for 12 months, you get a PGWP also of 12 months. Finally, if the duration of your program is more than 2 years, so for example, any undergraduate degree, most MBAs and so on, you get the full 3 years of time for your PGWP. Now, after that 3 years, and again, I'm covering this in a future professional network talk, we'll talk about what happens after your postgraduate work permit, but to simplify it tremendously, if you graduate from a Canadian school and you decide, I want to stay in Canada, 99% of the time you will be able to. I will be talking about permanent residency and open work permits and spousal permits and everything on a future Hong Kong Professional Network chat. So that's all I have for you for now. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me through the professional network. Thank you.
Thanks, Sasha. Any question for Sasha for closer? Sasha, I do have one question for the PGWP. So, say a student complete his or her 4-year degree. So the person will have the 3-year first, the PGWP, and then if he or she goes to graduate school, say 2 years, then does he or she get another 2 year of PGWP?
I believe that you would be able to, but also it's important to keep in mind that the PGWP, while it's great for students who want to study in Canada, it's definitely not the only stream. There are actually a lot of great schools that don't offer a PGWP, but all the other immigration streams are available to them. So in this case, yes, the student would get the full 3 years, but there are other, like for this student who apparently seems to really want to live in Canada, they spent many, many years of their life in Canada. At that point, especially if you complete a master's degree in Canada, there are many options available for the student to get permanent residency. So you don't have to worry about the PGWP at all.
Okay. Yeah, it's probably one of the good point to sell compared to US, because the OPT in US is only 1 year or less. So this is definitely a good advantage there.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Sasha. Any question to Sasha? If not, then we'll move on to Margaret. 咁少少簡介 Margaret。咁 Margaret 就有一個 master degree 啦，project management 同埋 bachelor degree 係 communication 嘅，都係兩個都係喺 George Washington University 度係 complete 嘅。咁佢係一個 PMP certified 嘅 project manager 啦。咁佢之前曾經喺一個major aerospace company 度做過啦。咁佢係喺佢空餘時間咧，咁佢係一個 YouTuber 嚟嘅。咁佢而家個 channel 咧有1800個 subscriber 同埋4000 followers。咁係OK。咁唔該 Margaret。
Hi， 大家好，我 share 我 screen。OK， 好，大家好，睇唔睇到我 screen？ 睇到應該。OK， 好，係，咁今日我就會講一講呢個就即受邀請啦，咁樣分享一下作為一個 YouTuber 嘅話咧，咁如果你想成為一個 YouTuber 啦，你可以點樣靠佢賺錢啦，或者喺 YouTuber 度係乜嘢啦，咁樣今日就會講一下即係呢個新興嘅一個 career。咁 so 我嗰個 PowerPoint 咧係英文嘅，咁我就英文講啦。其實本身想廣東話講嘅，但係就英文啦。咁今日就 OK。So today we are going to talk about what is a YouTuber and then how much money can you make as a YouTuber if you become a YouTuber, and then how you can start, the benefits and difficulties of being a YouTuber and the future of YouTuber business. So, okay, let's start. So, what is a YouTuber? So basically, anyone who uploads a video on YouTube can be considered as YouTuber. And then, but it's just like some YouTubers make money, some YouTubers don't. And if you want to make money, there are some requirements which we will talk about later. But first of all, we're going to talk about the types of YouTubers that you will see on YouTube. So there are, for example, animation. You can create animation by yourself, or you can do a compilation of the animated, like anime, for example, Japanese anime videos. You can do a you can compile those videos together to make your own video. And then we have the ASMR, which is very popular nowadays. If you buy an ASMR microphone, and then you can just basically record anything. For example, the sound of the rain, people chewing candies, people eating, people drinking, even snoring sound. I think like there are all types of ASMR that people enjoy nowadays. So ASMR is just that, like the sounds that you can hear very clearly through a special microphone that will make you feel like you are really actually in that situation. So, and that helps people to relax. This is a thing. So ASMR is pretty popular right now on YouTube. If you don't know, you can search about it. Yeah, and then beauty, for example, like makeup, like the fashion, all those things. That has been a very popular topic on YouTube for more than like 10 or 20 years, like ever since YouTube started. And then comedy, of course, like all those pranks, funny videos, yeah, like funny cats, funny people, funny grandmother, funny anything videos are considered as comedy. And then that is a genre that a lot of people watch as well. Well, conspiracy, you can talk about any kind of conspiracy, but right now I think on YouTube there are more like censorship if you talk about conspiracy, just because YouTube has its own stand as well on the politics. Yeah, and then cooking. Well, of course, many people watch cooking, daily vlog. Vlog is actually one of the biggest genre on YouTube right now that people like to watch. It's just filming your daily life. For example, vlog of a OL's like office lady's daily life. Like then you will maybe reach like 1 million views with that. It's just like people are interested in seeing how other people live their life. So vlog is a very popular right now. So there are still all kinds of things like design, DIY, family, fashion, gaming. Gaming is very big too. And then health and fitness, learning, lifestyle, music and dance, which means you can cover a song and then upload them. Pranks, challenges. Challenges is one of the biggest as well. And then sports, tag, travel. So basically, we were just going to this topic that everyone is interested in. So how much money can a YouTuber make? So basically, YouTubers make money per view. So once you sign the contract, so you need to sign a contract with YouTube first, if you want to get paid, which means you need to have at least 1,000 subscribers. You need to have people watching your videos for more than 4,000 hours in the past 12 months, which means basically if you just make enough videos, you're going to reach that. That is really not a hard requirement to reach. And then once you reach those two things, then you can sign and agree to the terms and conditions on the internet, and then you register to get a AdSense account on Google. Then YouTube will review your account and approve your ability to make money out of it, out of your videos. So once you're done with like signing the contract with YouTube online, then you can start making money from your videos per view. And usually, typically, it's between like 1 cent or 3 cents to 3 cents per view, and then they will pay you the money into your AdSense account, which is on Google that you can register for free. And then so the average money that YouTuber make is around like 18 cents per view. So basically, a YouTuber can make around like $3 to $5 per 1,000 video views. So it's just like if you can get more people to watch your video, then the more money you can get. And there are many YouTubers who get really, really well paid and who become really rich. For example, like the top paid YouTuber like Ryan Tom Toys Review. So in 2018, he disclosed that he earned 22 million US dollars for a year. So yeah, it's a pretty good business that many people are getting in right now. So how to start? If you want to start a YouTube, start to like a YouTuber career, you will need just a YouTube account and a good name for your channel that people can search for your channel and they will find it. And then a social media, well, not one, but like multiple usually, social media accounts on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and you will get at least one for your YouTube channel. So people could search you and share your stuff on social media. And then you will need to have some of the technical skills though. You need to have basic knowledge of SEO, which you can learn actually through YouTube as well. There are many YouTube videos talking about SEO. Basically, it's just about how you can optimize your keywords in the title of your video to make sure that people will be able to see your videos. And then other than that, you just need to start making your videos, and you need to basically consistent. You need to have a consistent upload frequency. So for example, if you feel like you can just make a video every month, then you just upload one video every month. But people like to watch. You need to kind of get your audience to have a habit of watching your videos. And the best way to do it is to upload your videos in a way that people know, oh, it's Thursday, for example, you upload a video every Thursday. Then people will know, oh, it's Thursday, it's time for me to watch your video. Or if you just upload it every month on 30th, then people will know, oh, it's 30th, I should watch this person's video now. So that is a way of kind of being a successful YouTuber. Or you can also stream live. A lot of people, they are like, if you are a gamer, you like to play games, like why not just kind of stream your gaming live, and then maybe you could make money out of it. You never know. So yeah, another preferable skills are that you need to have some graphic design and video editing skills, because thumbnail, for example, is one of the most important thing that will attract people to click on your video. And if you don't have a good graphic design skill, it may be hard to get people to get attracted to click on your video. But well, if you're like super handsome or super beautiful, then it doesn't bother you that much because you can just use your face. That's what I saw on YouTube as well. But if you just kind of like want to, for example, make a review of a game, review of a movie, or a dance video, singing video, then you need to make a thumbnail that will attract people to click on it. That will require graphic design skill. And if you are making like funny videos or videos that we want people to get more engaged, so they could watch the entire video, because YouTube counts your watch hours. So they count how many minutes, how many hours people have been watching your videos. So you want to get them engaged, entire video, not just click into a video, watch 1 or 2 minutes and shut it off. But you want to keep them to watch your entire video, finish your entire video. Then you need some kind of video editing skills, and also the tools. For example, like Adobe Photoshop for the graphic design. Maybe you can use Canva. Canva design is a very good tool that is easier than Photoshop to use to do the graphic design. And then video editing, maybe you need to use also Adobe Premiere, After Effects, or you can use some other cheaper and easier tools like let's see, Fiola. Yeah, so you can just search all those tools on the internet. And then in terms of what kinds of videos you make, basically this is what I have done a lot of research and concluded. Basically it's just like the intersect of what you are interested in and what is trending and many people are interested in. Like when for example, you are interested in singing, and the trending song right now is like something like a song from a certain singer, then you will sing that song. That would become the best topic for your video. This is just a way of determining what kind of video should you make, and I concluded that from my research. So yeah, and then the benefits of being a YouTuber. So as you see, actually many people make a lot of money out of YouTube right now, and there are also many people watching videos on YouTube, especially in this pandemic. But then so the benefits of being a YouTuber, of course, you can be famous. When you're famous, that means you have more opportunities to become maybe even the spokesperson of some people, like of some brands, some products. People will send you their products for free for review, and then or you can get advertisements on your YouTube channel, and that means you have potential to earn even more money, not just on YouTube, not just on the platform of YouTube, but also maybe on other places as well, like advertisements, maybe interviews, maybe you even get a chance to, you don't know, maybe become an actor, actress, or model, anything. So there are just a lot of potential benefits of being a YouTuber. And then you also be able to meet many people with your similar vision, hobby, or interest. Because when you make a video, for example, about like for example, for me, I like to sing Japanese songs, and I'm from Hong Kong. So Hong Kong people don't speak Japanese. But when I sing Japanese songs, then I can attract people from, well, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Japan, many places where people like the same music that I like, that are in Japanese. So you'll be able to meet a lot of people who actually like the specific thing that you like. And you may not have friends to talk about it in your real life, but when you make the videos out of it, like, and you upload it on YouTube, then you will get friends and audience who are interested in the same thing. I think this is a very exciting thing for many people. Yeah, and then so it's just fun and enjoyable because you'll be making videos that you like by yourself. But then the flip side, so the challenges, now that, first of all, it's really tough at the beginning, I would really say. At the beginning, you will not get much views. You need to constantly review and implement your better like SEO marketing strategy. You constantly think about, oh, is my topic not good enough? My video not good enough? The title that I had not good enough? The keywords that I put in it not good enough? And then you have to constantly kind of think about it and try to improve it by yourself. And it would take, and it would also take a lot of time for you to create those videos, to edit those videos, make the thumbnail, manage your social media account for your YouTube channel, promote your YouTube channel. There are just many things that would be very time consuming if you really want to kind of become a famous YouTuber. And so it requires a lot of time. That's why if you want to become a successful YouTuber, you will just, like, first of all, you need to create a lot of videos, which means you need time to film them or like create them on your computer, do the editing, design the thumbnails, everything, promote them, and then you need to do it in a consistent frequency. It's not easy for people who have a full-time job or for people who are busy. If you really want to do that, you must have a really, really good time management skill, which actually myself, I'm lack of it because I have like a full-time job. That's why like it's really a hard thing for me to do. And then so if you look at YouTube in general, a lot of say successful YouTubers are the people who quit their job or the people who originally didn't have a job. So they became a full-time YouTuber and got successful with it because they could invest all their time and energy, efforts, everything into YouTube. So I'll just say it's really a very time-consuming thing to do. Well, of course, some people can do it if you have really good time management skill, or you could manage to do things in a very short period of time. So, but it really, really depends on whether you are good at managing your time and doing things in a pretty fast pace. So, yeah. So, well, last but not the least, so the future of YouTuber as a career. So YouTube right now, we can see that it's still a growing market, but it's already very huge, but it's still growing. So there are more than 2 billion monthly active YouTube users, and then 73% of US adults use YouTube, and more than 1 billion hours of YouTube content are being viewed every day. So it's, and then like, well, more of it is like, for example, YouTube is localized to 91 countries, like, and then 80 languages are available on it. The top 10 YouTube channels earned more than 180 billion US dollars combined between, like, just for 1 year, like between June 2017 to June 2018, which I think actually this number has increased this year, especially because during the pandemic, everyone could not go out from their home. So more people are spending time to get entertainment online, and YouTube is one of the biggest, I would say, other than Netflix, it's really one of the biggest entertainment content provider in the world, where everyone could upload something on it, because not everyone can upload things to Netflix, but YouTube is the place that everyone could get into it, and there are really a lot of people watching it every day. So there are a lot of opportunities for you to make money if you are creative, you're hardworking, you can dedicate time into it, and you are good at time management, you have some skills of design or SEO, or even if you don't have that, maybe you're just like really a fun person to be with. So you could create contents that are really, really interesting to people, that even if you don't have a good thumbnail or a good title, people will still click into it and watch it, and they will share with all their friends, and you'll be famous. So yeah. But at the same time, well, the flip side is just that it's really, really highly competitive, and it will only be more competitive in the future. But still, this is just like, there are more breads outside and there are more bread catcher outside at the same time. So I don't think it is a saturated market yet. Well, there are like 500 hours of content uploaded to YouTube every minute, but still, if you just search for any topic, you can find them on YouTube. But still, there are just so many people watching YouTube every day. And if you are just creative, you can find something that you can film, or you can edit, you can put together into a video. I think this is a very good career if you have time for it. So yeah, so that's it for my presentation. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Mark.
Okay, yeah, if no question, that'll be all for my presentation.
All right, that concludes our presentation today. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.